Hi, this is Rabbi Chaim Kaufman. Someone asked me a question recently on the following: whether the importance of not being negative, speaking negative, bringing doubt to others and ourselves. So the question is that indirectly saying that Hashem doesn't run the world? When they say certain negative things, does it show a lack of emunah and bitachon? So it's a little bit of a loaded question. And we know that, or most people know that I don't shy away from loaded questions. So the first about being negative. Now, being negative, in general, certainly not good for a person's psyche. What do we say every day? We say in our prayers in the morning, Yivdu es Hashem b'simcha, right? Anyone who says it, we say that a person should serve God with great joy, with simcha. Now, even though we say it, hopefully we mean it, but at the end of the day, we're probably half asleep when we say it. But even so, even if we're wide awake and we really believe it, nonetheless, we get beaten down. We get beaten down on a daily basis. And what that means is that we go through all kinds of difficulty, all kinds of hardship. We say in our prayers in the morning, we don't want to have any nisayon, we don't want to have any trials, tribulations, etc. But at the same time, we don't grow. We don't grow if we're not tested. That being said, what do we do over here about being negative? All right, so we said that being negative is a problem. It probably takes years off your life, or certainly days, months, because the person is agitated, and they could be very rightfully so. They could be agitated. They could be aggravated, parnasa problems, livelihood issues. Could be problems in the family, sickness, whatever. There could be a number of things where people see what they see is bad, and they're just negative. So unfortunately, I happen to know a lot of negative people. Oh, I shouldn't say a lot. I know some. And it's depressing being around them. Right? I don't think there's any question, because they don't think about the good that they have. Now, there are other people that just get beaten down. They're really not, they're not such bad people. They have ups and downs like everybody does, but they have seemingly more downs. Or I guess you could say maybe it's a form of depression. Maybe, they don't know how to deal with certain things. That could be. But being negative in general is bad. Certainly bad on a person's psyche. Any psychologist will tell you that, whether they believe in psychologists or not. But, it can certainly take its toll, on a person who wants to be around such a person. Person's always grumpy. Person never smiles, right? So, being negative is not, it's certainly not certainly not a positive thing, right? I think most people would agree. But that really wasn't the question. The question is, does it bring doubt to others, ourselves, or the lack of emunah? Right? So it's an interesting question, because I don't think most people, if they are believing 100% Torah Jews, I don't think they're being negative. To be negative and say, well, I don't have any emunah. I don't have proper faith. They're negative, probably. And again, each case has to be judged on its own. But probably because they're beaten down by life. Right? That's probably most people. It's just, when a person gets beaten down, and whatever it is, it's hard to compartmentalize. A person may have difficulties, whatever aspect of their life. It doesn't mean other aspects are bad. A person may have, let's say, parnasa problems. Right? They'll have livelihood issues, but doesn't mean that the marriage is bad. Doesn't mean, the kids aren't doing the right thing. Doesn't mean they don't have a roof over their head. Okay, the person's struggling. But there are other good things going on. So just because a person goes through this doesn't mean it's a lack of faith or emunah. If the person is saying, why is God doing this to me, and it's not fair, and I don't deserve it, I try, I work hard, I change my life, and I'm getting flack from all over the place, and life has been so much more difficult since I became religious, or since I came out of Christianity, or idolatry, or whatever. All that may be true, right? It certainly may be true, but it doesn't matter. Because, if a person's negative and they question God and it deters them from working on themselves to be better, etc. They blame everything on God. They do less in avodas Hashem. They do less in serving God properly, etc. Because, hey, why is God doing this to me? If He's doing this to me, then He must, He must not find favor. Okay, that means I have to change. But okay, other people seemingly have it easy, and they don't seem to suffer. I changed my life, lost family members, because of it, and no one speaks to me, and blah blah blah. Or that person, not necessarily me, right? In general, the person may be going through a tremendously rough time. All that may be true, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's a lack of faith. Now, on the other hand, if a person questions God and questions why He's doing this to me and it's not fair, yeah, that's heresy. Because at the end of the day, God meets our punishment measure for measure. We may not see it as measure for measure. We may not understand it, but it's not for us to question. Right? Go to Avram. Avram had the biggest trial, right? What was the trial? With the Akedah, with the binding of Isaac. And every step along the way, he doesn't complain. He has perfect faith. God told him that Yitzhak is going to be your seed, right? You're going to pass it down to Yitzhak. The Torah, whatever you know, and he's going to pass it down. He's going to pass it down to his offspring, and that's going to be the Jewish people, etc. But he gave him a commandment to make any sense. So that was the trial. If Avram was going to complain or not do the Akedah at all. Because the Ramban there says, had he not done it, he wouldn't have been as great as he was. I was 9 for 9. But unreached potential is unreached potential. So therefore, if he wouldn't have gone through it, he wouldn't have had the legacy of Avram. He would have been great, but he wouldn't have been, as great. So that's, it's a little bit hard to understand. But in general, he had to do what he had to do. So therefore, he didn't complain. He didn't say anything. So his belief in God was unbelievable, was tremendously strong. So any one of us would have said, "What, are you kidding? I was 100 years old. I had this child. You changed my wife in order to have a child at the age of 90, which is impossible according to regular human biology. So fine, God can do anything. True. But anyone less human or less great than Avram would have complained. Would have said, "What, are you crazy? How could you expect me to do such a thing?" But he doesn't. And that showed his faith was intact. That showed how much he believed in God, how much he understood what God wanted from him, even though in the end God didn't want him to blemish his son. God didn't want him to touch him, etc. It means that he passed the test 100%. But he doesn't complain. He doesn't complain. He doesn't give in to his evil inclination. He doesn't go against all logic, because all logic would tell him it doesn't make any sense. And he does what he's supposed to do as an Eved Hashem. Is what God wants. So you may say, well, we're not on that level. And, a person who loses their money, could be sick, many years. Any number of things could happen. It could question our faith. So if a person's bitter, and they may have a right to, for whatever reason, they're sick and they can't do much. They lose their livelihood, someone steals their money, or whatever the case is. The trial that they go through, God wants to see, okay, you've had it easy, or you had it easier. Now I'm going to make life difficult. I'm going to see what you're going to do. You're going to blaspheme against me? You're going to, spit in my face after all the good years, etc. or not? So that is, part of the test. The person can ask, okay, I don't understand why it happened. But everything comes from him, and if it comes from him, it was supposed to be. The difference is the person who did it. Why are you going to be mad at them? They're just a shaliach. They're just a messenger. It's kind of like hitting a dog with a stick. Who does the dog go after? The stick. Should go after the one wielding the power. So that's the Torah Hashkafa. That is the way we should look at things. According to the Torah, that okay, this happened, It must be God wanted it to happen. It could be because of my sins. It could be because of something I did in a previous life. It could be any number of things that possibly could have happened. But at the end of the day, it's measure for measure. So if a person complains and they say, I don't understand how God could do this, doesn't make sense, and the person's going to go off and do their own thing, and they're going to give God lip service, or not even, they're going to go off, etc. So, okay, that's bad. That negativity could lead a person to go off the derech, to go off the beaten path, the straight path of keeping what God wants. Now, a person can get a very strong test, and no question. And nobody can say anything about what that person goes through because they're not in their shoes, right? You can't judge a person until you've been in their shoes. So God does never puts us in a test we can't handle. But at the same time, it's not ours to question. We can feel sad about it. We can think about it a lot. It doesn't help. Because the one thing we have to learn, this could be partial heresy over here. When a person questions, because they're saying, why are you doing this to me? I don't deserve it. You're saying that, God's doing something wrong. God forbid. And that can't be. So that obviously is a form of, heresy, if it's not heresy, outright. So that's what negativity can certainly lead to. And a person, I think a good idea, if a person feels they have these negative thoughts on a regular basis, write down a list. Write down a list of all things you're thankful for. So when a person, is in a negative mood or something happened or whatever the case is and they have difficulty overcoming it, look at that list. And once they look at that list and they're thankful for what they have, this should dissipate. It may not always work. It may take longer. A person may need psychological help to get over things. But being overly negative is bad. It will, eat your inside. It's certainly not healthy. And, why most people smiling today? Because they're on Prozac, right? They're on some sort of, drug to get them through the day. So we shouldn't necessarily need that. I mean, there should be many things that we should definitely be, thankful for. I'll just end with this, that the Vilna Gaon used to send his students who were suffering from poverty tremendously. Before Shabbos, he would send them to the hospital, go visit Jewish patients in the hospital. And when, his students would see these people couldn't even eat by themselves, couldn't walk by themselves, suffered tremendously physically. Okay, they didn't have a lot. They were suffering, from poverty. But at the same time, they were able to do things on their own. They were healthy. They could eat themselves. They could walk. They came into Shabbos, totally different. So a person can overcome that mindset. May not be easy. May take a long time. May take help. May take a lot of things to get over. To get over certain things. But the bottom line is, the more negativity, the more a person is going to question what God does. And the more a person questions what God does, that will lead 100% to heresy, will cause them to go off the derech, loses Judaism, loses Noahidism, lose the whole thing because they just don't understand. They're suffering, tremendously. So I think it was a great question. I hope it was a good answer. Anyone has any questions, find me on Facebook, Beyond Orthodox Conversion to Judaism, and you can take a look at my blog, orthodoxconversion.com, and you want to send me an email, rabbichaimkaufman@gmail.com, RABBICHAIMCOFFMAN @gmail.com. Thanks for listening.